Nice to see you. Nice to have you from South Africa. Okay, everyone, very good morning. I'm waiting to see this beautiful star pop up on my screen. The one whose name is Sister Jenna. Where is she? So when she comes on, but I'm going to start with the introductions and, okay, so everyone, very warm welcome again. And just to say congratulations to all of you for having joined us from different parts of the world. In fact, where Sister Jenna is, it's about 5 or 5:30 a.m. there. So hats off to you, Sister Jenna. Very warm welcome.
Hi, everybody.
So just to say, I hope you got a drink by your side, as I have, and you got a notebook and a pen, because that's it. So once you start, you do not really want to, get up from here. And I know that feeling. Okay, so today's format will be a little different to the usual ones. And in the sense that we're going to have like a half an hour talk first after I introduce our speaker. That'll be followed by some questions that I will ask of her, followed then by your questions. So as always, sweet request, when you type your questions in the chat box, please keep them very brief and to the point. Don't mix your questions with comments that you are sharing with the group, because, remember, I've got to try and fit in as many questions as I can. So is that okay? Remember, we've got only Portuguese translation available today. Somehow the other three seem to are not able to make it. Sorry. Did you call me, Anabai? Oh.
No, I didn't.
Okay, I don't know. I just heard something. Yes. So tell me, what do you think about this topic? Do you have any limiting beliefs? That is, thoughts, opinions that one believes to be the absolute truth. They tend to have a negative impact on one's life by stopping me from moving forward and growing on a personal and professional level. So tell me, have you got any limiting beliefs like that? Now, with everything that's happening around us today, last few, I think, couple of years especially, do our limiting beliefs about ourselves create any anxiety and depression? Well, today's session with Sister Dr. Jenna will offer insights into our thinking patterns and how best to transform our limiting beliefs to a broader consciousness. Now, those of you who do not know or who have not met Sister Jenna before, first of all, a special welcome to her, because she is on WandS for the first time. We are so happy that since COVID has given us this opportunity to connect with these beautiful angels from all over, we're able to have her. So again, very warm welcome to Sister Jenna. Now, for the rest of you who have not met her before, let me just tell you a little bit about her, okay? So Sister Jenna has been a student and teacher with the Brahma Kumaris for nearly 40 years. She's an acclaimed and trusted spiritual mentor, committed to bridging divides in societies and building relationships between global influences. She has impacted lives around the globe, inspiring change and finding solutions to current day crises. As the founder and the director of the Brahma Kumaris Meditation Museum, located in the metropolitan Washington, D.C. area. Sister Dr. Jenna is also the host of the popular America Meditating radio show and is a recipient of the President's Lifetime National Community Service Award. She's a member of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, a group of thought leaders from diverse disciplines in service to conscious evolution, and was selected as one of the 100 most influential leaders of 2015. Sister Jenna served as a principal partner with the Oprah Winfrey network and values partnerships on the belief team, a community of individuals from diverse spiritual, cultural, and faith backgrounds. She was also awarded an honorary PhD 4 years ago by St. Thomas Aquinas College, New York. Now, without more ado, let us give a very, very warm welcome, a sparkling Tuesday morning WandS welcome to Sister Jenna. So I'm just going to switch myself off.
Can I tell you how infectious your energy is?
Oh, it's just like yours, just like yours. I think you are so special as well. So I'm going to switch myself off, but I'm sitting here and then I will reconnect when you want me to. Okay. Everyone, Om Shanti, and everyone enjoy.
Om Shanti, everyone. Good morning from where I am, and I think good afternoon wherever you might be in other parts across the world. You know, so many times I listen to these biodata introductions and I just like, it says what I've done, but maybe it doesn't really say who I am as a being. And even each time that I hear my introductions, I always say to, I have this deep relationship with God that I call Baba. I would just say, what in the world am I doing? And I've recognized that one of the most important things that we can do for our own lives is to move away from the past. And it's something that I keep working on every single day. And even when I'm not really conscious that my past is actually influencing me, I can identify that I'm still in the modality of the past by maybe my lack of enthusiasm or just seeing everything from the ground floor. So the journey continues for each and every one of us. And I can only imagine how delightful Eric was last week, and to follow on his particular footnote might not be so easy, but I'll do my best to just be with you. I'm not a teacher. I don't consider myself a teacher. I consider myself more so a friend to many. And so I do like to have conversations more so than to speak at people or to people. I'm not quite sure where that belief system came from. I guess maybe after exploring all the prophets and seers and saints that spoke on mounts or spoke down to people on mounts. And maybe they were speaking really about their own experiences. But now we have so many individuals who are carrying their own experiences, and they might be two kinds. The ones who believe that if they speak down at somebody, it's a sense of their personal power, or somebody who just shares with everyone, shares that power to everyone in very unique ways. So we're looking at deleting limited beliefs today, and maybe what I'd like to do is just start us off with just feelings of the day. And maybe I could ask just for us to go into like a beautiful meditation song at this time to create the atmosphere of warmth, of quietude, of enthusiasm, of curiosity, of just being present. So I invite you to just take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. And let's just go into a moment of Om Shanti that is more of an inspiring Om Shanti. Let's take a moment together. Om Shanti. Om Shanti is the universal language of peace. It is what? It is who every soul is. From the place of peace, I can live out my fullest expression of life. And with deep peace, there is nothing to obstruct my thoughts. I am able to yield to what is and remain conscious to what can be. In peace, I understand you. In peace, you understand me. It is at the center of it all. Om Shanti. When I produced that track with Grammy Award winner, who, by the way, has been nominated a second time for a Grammy, Ricky Cage. He's the only Indian that's been nominated twice for a Grammy. And when I did this track with Ricky, I remembered how he was breaking through limited beliefs about thinking he could do a sort of a meditation fusion album. And I was breaking through a limited belief system that, should I do a meditation like this with a Grammy winner? I don't know of anyone in the whole world who's not somehow etched or carved or trapped or is in some limited belief that they've acquired, developed along the way. One is a limited belief, but the best part is to actually live in a limited belief that has a system to it, where it's just this repeated form of the way we show up in our world and in our lives. I thought this was a really huge topic because I think the whole world struggles with some aspect of, how do I let go of these feelings and these emotions? And why I thought it was really nice for us to start with these feelings of Om Shanti is that we all carry the belief system that to feel good, to feel at peace, to feel loved, and to feel loving, those are belief systems that definitely do not require deleting. I mean, who wants to delete feeling loved or giving love? And what gives you more power? Receiving love from someone or giving it? At least for me, I found that my strength enhances when I'm on the offering end. And I've struggled at times wondering, why is it I don't know how to always receive? And so to what extent is there an imbalance recorded inside of my personality? For those of you who might have just joined on the WandS program, or just even in this whole vortex and this atmosphere, an extremely warm welcome. I think you've entered into a world of a whole new you that is about to unfold, maybe in ways that you'll never, ever imagine. I remember when I was a young teenager with my parents who had just joined the teachings of Raj Yoga through the portal of the Brahmakumaris. It was about 6 months later that I saw how much my mother changed. I can't begin to tell you. Listen, my dad's Indian. My mother's African Caribbean. She was orphaned at 7, in orphanages, abused, abandoned. She would protect her younger sisters from men who had very bad intentions. And I look at that soul, and I see how her belief system is, don't trust people. You've got to defend for yourself. You have to fight no matter what. And the fear and all of that she carried. And I remembered, just watching her so kind of traumatized and not really knowing what to do with it. Now, the interesting thing about that is my question as I grew as an adult and I began to understand the language. How did she protect me? What was her belief in her that protected me from the torture or the trauma that she endured as a soul? What was her belief? And I think there was something in her that she was carrying, a very, very deep, very, very deep, silent relationship and love affair with God, but also absolute anger with God, wondering, why did you take my parents? Why did these things happen? And I think sometimes when we get so caught up in asking why things are happening, we're just slowing down, moving on to our next destination. The consciousness of ego and the limited belief system always wants to answer the why something has happened to me because it needs to put itself in a particular package. I hate packages. Hate them. I feel like whenever you put yourself in a package, it's like the genie trapped in a bottle. And what the genie wants to feel is to be released from the bottle and to be in service to its master. And I suspect that if we look deep enough inside of the soul, we will feel how trapped we are in our own bodies or in our own consciousness. But deep down, every single one of us wishes to live a life of purpose, of meaning, of truth, of freedom, love, power. But we're so trapped in this little bottle. I just want you to visualize the image of a genie in a bottle. And how many times do you take this powerful energy of the soul that you are? You're so powerful. Look at Madhvi. She had surgery, she's up, she's pushing herself. So the body has to heal. Yes, the soul is attached to the body, but she says, I have a choice. I can keep focusing on where my surgery is, the reason behind the surgery, how I'm feeling, or I can take it to another level and say, you know what? That has to happen. It did. Om Shanti. What's next for me? What is it that I need to realize here in my life? And I wonder if we were to really look at life, every moment and every scene, what's in this moment for me? What's in it? So a lot of times when I look at, just my mother's role, and after she came into the study and the spiritual philosophy of the Brahma Kumaris, it was uncanny how much she changed. I didn't see that woman who was traumatized and afraid and abandoned and isolated. I saw this beautiful bud that just opened up into this flower, as if she stopped believing that she was meant to suffer, that she couldn't trust any human being, that, she didn't have to be angry at God anymore for the way that her life was unfolding as a child. How many of us in this portal right now are holding on to something that somebody simply said to you, did with you or to you, and it was over a week ago. It was a year ago. It was 5 years ago. It was 30 years ago. I mean, I can still remember a few things that some folks have said to me 30 years ago, and it has impacted the way I feel about myself. Just imagine. Just think about it. The way we believe in things people say and do to us, how it directs the choices that we make. So when we start to recognize that there's certain things that are happening in our lives that just doesn't feel like it's freedom, it doesn't feel like there's light in it, it doesn't feel like I'm living my best life, or I'm living my empowerment, or I'm the genie out of the bottle. It just doesn't feel like the genie is free. What's the belief system that you're holding on to? Something someone said to you, did to you, didn't do to you, or maybe something you did. And after you made that choice, there was a consequence. Your happiness waned. It got less. Did you ever take the moment to actually sit with yourself and work it through, that you actually have the courage and the integrity to apologize to yourself? It's a big form of deleting limited beliefs. One day I live in an ashram in Washington, and one day there's a sister who was with me. She was from one of the countries that just overcame communism. And when people live with me, I have certain guidelines that I really adhere to. You can't gossip, and you can't dislike anyone around me. And anyway, long story short, in the mornings, I would usually get up. I'm a morning person. I'd get up and say, good morning, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. And this particular morning, she did not say good morning, nor did she say Om Shanti when we were in the kitchen. So I observed it, and I didn't say anything until later in the evening when she came to see me in my room to say goodnight. And I just looked at her very gently, and I said, I suspect we're going to live for a very long time in the same house. And all I ask is that you just say good morning in the mornings, just so we can start the day off in a right note. Just that one little thing I'm asking you to do. You know why? Because I've seen throughout time, people live together in a home and they can't even say good morning to each other anymore. They can't even say hello, because just gradually over a long period of time where there's been a lack of communication, a lack of openness and trust, is that the energy starts to increase inside of our nature, inside of our personality. And we think it's that this person is doing this person is saying that. And in reality, sometimes our greatest struggles in our relationship just starts with not saying hello, not saying good morning. It seems so little. And then you check and you ask, what is the reason behind me not saying good morning with my eyes sparkling to see you? When's the last time you look at the person next to you in your apartment, in your house, in your relationship, and the person wakes up with such a sparkle of happiness to see you? It's as if they're believing the best and they're believing the greatest aspects of you. It's as if they're not going to allow a belief system of your weakness or their own weakness to get between this relationship. It's almost as if they have an automated deleting system that they choose not to focus on what is broken or what is wrong with you. How many relationships have been separated because we see what's wrong in the other person? How many times do we do it? That belief system, he's like this, she's like that. And I think sometimes when we try to look into the behavior, the quality, or the circumstance of a person, I was checking for myself. I think it's that I just want to feel safe around people. Have you ever felt like that? Feel free to put it in your chat. Have you ever kind of thought that if you identify a limitation in somebody, that you're scared that that limitation might impact you? That maybe the limitation might influence you and make you into somebody not so positive? Are you concerned that that limit could destroy your family, your finances, your health? And maybe us sometimes looking into the why in a relationship or a situation is us searching for a sense of safety. Before great antiviruses came about in computers, did you remember back in the day how we used to be so scared of deleting or losing our files? And how many of you deleted or lost a file in your system before there was system restore? And it was just devastating, especially after you had put so much energy in a project and it just went. Wouldn't you love to be able to delete experiences of your past that weren't very pleasant, that no matter how much you search for it inside of your beautiful soul, you just can't find it? I know I do. And one of the ways that I feel that we're able to do that is, where do I redirect my energy where it can give me some sense of forgetfulness of certain things? And in the practice of Raj Yoga, it fascinates me, this path of the Brahma Kumaris that we've been on since the pandemic. My understanding of the soul, that I know I'm a soul, I know it. And I know the soul never dies. And I know the little tiny soul behind my eyes is holding a great amount of experience. And I know that the little energy behind my eyes is also consistently looking for new experiences. It's consistently wired to expand its existence, to venture through new frontiers, to be so vast and unlimited in its potential. Remember the genie in the bottle. It knows it is not supposed to be trapped in limited beliefs. You, the most powerful entity on the planet, is not supposed to be trapped in thinking, this one doesn't like me, the thinking, I am Indian, I'm Gujarati, I'm Black, I'm American, I'm English, I'm Muslim, I'm Jewish. These are all trappings. And each time I keep feeding my thoughts that this is only who I am, I take so much power from my real sense of self. I take away so much from me. And I get weaker. And from what is supposed to be an entity, a personality, an image, and a quality, a human being of grace, of beauty, of power, of self-worth and self-respect, it gets replaced by an acronym that I use called algae. I start to replace the power of my being with a gradual development of a belief system that actually begins to contribute to every challenge and difficulty I go through. A for anger, L for lust, G for greed, A for attachment, and E for ego. Can you believe it? Can you believe that we, the most powerful beings on the planet, would actually start to get used to becoming so tiny that we just trap ourselves in that little genie bottle, waiting for God or a miracle or a master to release me? Just waiting for that. And I wonder, like through programs like WandS and stuff, it's a release, isn't it? It really is. It's helping you to recognize, I don't want to stay in this bottle anymore. I don't belong in this bottle. So let me start to apologize and forgive myself for even believing that I belong in this bottle. You might even bump into 1,000,000 people who tell you you should stay in the bottle, but you will always find one soul that might be already free from the bottle, and they will say, come with me. Or maybe you might bump into that master of yours, God, the supreme being, who I call my Baba, that supreme power, that the greatness of light. You know, look at how powerful you are already. Imagine if you were to bump into the master who can guide you and teach you and inspire you to fulfill that greatness to such an extent that your life becomes a life of seva, of service, of meaning, of purpose. What are you doing with yourself now? How do you spend your day? Where are your thoughts? What would you be right now if you did delete your limited beliefs? You're not your name. You're not your gender. You're not your religion, your nationality, your language. How would you feel? Give it a try. How would you feel if you no longer had the recording of algae in your personality? Are you able to humble yourself enough to say sorry? Sorry for believing that algae was supposed to be a very big part of my narrative. And sorry for not thinking that you're more powerful and more beautiful than beyond measure. Are you able to do that? You know, when I saw my mother transform into this beautiful flower in 6 months after her teachings in the Raj Yoga, I remember how much it impacted me to see that. How could someone who was so trapped in trauma become so free in 6 months? All because of her mind. Those thoughts of yours. The most unused potential in our universe and in our time. And yet the cure to every illness, every situation, every circumstance, every challenge that we're going through, the cure is always behind my eyes as a thought. And when I look at people like my mother, or I look at souls like Daddy Janki, who passed away about 2 years now almost, who is the spiritual matriarch of the Brahma Kumaris. And I looked at how she's always maintained her determination. She would not allow anything that was limited or at a base level to deter her focus in soaring forward. And I want to give you an example that I use quite frequently. You know, I want you to think about being at the Ritz-Carlton. Okay, it's a very famous hotel. And you enter at the ground floor, you're there. And you can see the cars, you can even, let's say you're about to walk into the lobby and you hear the cars, the horn, you smell the air, everything is nice, it's good, not bad. You check in, you go to your room, it happens to be in the penthouse of the Ritz. And the minute you enter the room, it just has this openness for you. And then you enter the slide doors and you're on the patio. And what you saw on the ground level, you don't see the same thing on the penthouse, the top of the floor. And when you start to develop the habit of deleting belief systems that are so tiny for such a grand soul like you are, you don't see through your eyes like you used to. Imagine not seeing through your eyes as an Indian, as an African, as a Caucasian, as Chinese, as Syrian, whatever. Imagine not thinking from the attachment of that belief system. How would you enter all of your relationships? Where would you go? What would be your conversation? You'd be surprised how we're feeding limited beliefs and we create a tribe to sustain that, only giving us, no opportunity to be free. It just traps us together to just continue with what we've always continued with. So I really feel like the way in which I help myself to delete my limited beliefs, the first thing I'll start with is an apology. It's an apology with myself. I just feel like I need to do that. Whenever anyone does anything wrong to you, what do you always wish for them first? An apology to give way, to somehow allow passage between you and them, energy to start to flow again. Because without that apology, it's like you block your feelings towards the person. We started off the meditation with a feeling meditation to open up the soul. Limited beliefs closes me up. Love, and when I'm unlimited, opens me up and says, okay, world, what's in it for me? And what is it that I am now willing to share with the world? That little tiny energy behind your eyes wants you to not only just say hello, but it also wants you to say sorry and to move on. And in doing so, you'll create a pattern where you just won't get trapped in that bottle for too long. And perhaps what you'll start to do is to view your life from the penthouse of your consciousness, from looking at your life and say, how do I handle responding to my husband now? By being at the penthouse at the top level. I'm so accustomed to responding to my spouse with, he's like this, she's like this. How many of you in your relationships are still talking at each other and holding a limitation of your partner in your consciousness, but you want something so much more from the relationship? How many of you have done that? It's a practice, when I'm with a lot of various souls, and each one has their own gifts and their own delights and challenges. And I try my best not to keep them in a package And a lot of times when I invite them to step out of the package, I get a reaction, or I get a yes, but it really was an ignoring, or I get somebody who just leaves, and all I wanted to say is that I think you're so much more than that. And I think for myself, I want people to look at me with unlimited eyes. One of the most painful things you can look in someone's drishti is when they look at you and think you're less. Or when you look at somebody thinking they are less. It's so counterproductive to the evolving of humanity. And so when we look at getting on a path of meditation, or we get onto a path of self-reflection and dialogue with oneself and dialogue with people that inspire you, you are choosing to no longer live from a system of limited beliefs, but you're also choosing to believe there's no way such a dynamic, powerful soul can be so limited. And that the only reason that you and I and the rest of the world will be limited is because we're still feeding experiences from our past. And when you feed experiences from the past in the present, the future says, I'm going to give you what you have fed. If in the present, I'm feeding the awareness of what my limits are, but I'm willing to be humble enough to say sorry. And I'm willing to be courageous enough to just say hello to maybe someone who I haven't spoken to for a long time. But then I'll open up the door and I can release myself from this little box that maybe I've put myself in for such a long time. It is such a powerful topic to delete limited beliefs. It's one thought away. And even though that one thought could be my delete button, and I can never find that file again, there comes that system restore. You'll hear a music, a person will come and say, don't you remember you used to be like that? And you're like, yeah. I want them to get rid of system restore from the systems, that we don't have to go back to anything that we no longer find useful for our lives. We've been through enough now. Don't you think now it's time to celebrate, to try to keep co-creating the best experiences possible? And when it isn't the best, I can assure you, even in those moments of challenge, there's something very powerful coming out of you. Any challenge, difficulty, obstacle, stuckedness, any sort of a fear, keep this image in front of you. The house is on fire. And every time you walk towards it, you see the fire, you get scared and you walk back. But the next time you encounter anything inside of you that is really burning your peace and love and happiness, you must recognize that beyond the fire in the house is something so sacred and so valuable to protect. And it is you. It is your innocence, your purity, your ability to love in such a vast way. It is your happiness that's beyond those flames. And when you go into it and you catch yourself and you take back and you claim back your dignity and your spirituality and your purity and your power, and you come out of that, you'd have deleted so many limited understandings. And that fire will eventually go out. It no longer belongs in you. We've all been through a lot. Some of us are aware of it, some of us are not. I think the first time I lost sight that I was a soul, a pure soul, a loving soul, a powerful soul, when I lost sight of my connection to God, to Baba, I think that was where my trauma and my limited beliefs started. And in the teachings of Raj Yoga, when you go deeper into it, your consciousness starts to evolve more to the penthouse level of viewing your life. And it becomes very hard to allow yourself to limit yourself and put yourself in a small box. But I have to tell you that when I started to recognize the energy of God's light and realize that that was my delete button, that was the only delete button I wanted to keep pressing. This button of love and wisdom and patience and kindness. And every time you touch that button, you're saying sorry, you're apologizing, and you're forging forward, and you're protecting what's valuable, which is you, and you're no longer the genie trapped in your bottle. So I just had these thoughts to share. I'm usually quite articulate in the mornings because I just finished my morning meditation at 4 o'clock, and that's the only time I can hear what's evolving in me and who God's light is making me become. And I think the more we believe in God's light and love, limited belief systems have to fall away from your consciousness. It must, you know. Yeah. So if you say that I'm sorry, there's a nice little question I'm seeing in the chat. I prefer to say, I regret that rather than sorry. The belief that I have to say sorry is for me limiting. Absolutely. Use it. Absolutely. Whatever the language will be for you that can help you to just keep moving away from what you think has been, what's slowing you down, what's holding you back. So I'll pause here for Madhvi to come on and maybe have a little chit chat and see what else is going on.
Thank you so much for that, Jenna. That was really beautiful. And you know what I loved about you is the fact that you're really sharing from the heart. And also, just to let our newcomers know, people who are new to WandS, people who are new to Brahma Kumaris, if you are interested in doing this Raj Yoga meditation course or any other courses that we offer free of charge, please write to me. I will be putting down my WhatsApp number as well as my the WandS email. Okay, so please contact me, and then I can guide you how to get through these. Okay. So thank you. There was one thing I was thinking, Jenna. The journey you've been on, it's so fascinating, really. Um, so what do you think is, you've already touched on it, Baba, but is there anything else, behind your courage and spiritual tenacity? And not just that, but also to be able to do so much, because looking at your bio data, and when I was reading it out, I was thinking, amazing, you seem to be doing so many different things, and you seem to be, making it look so easy. So what extra is there behind?
I thought that, when I came into my spiritual awakening, it just felt like the whole world was open for me. And the only thing that was going to hold me back was my own belief systems and what I thought of myself. So from thinking of myself just being a woman or what have you, it changed and I became God's child, really. I started to really believe that the energy of God's light really opened me up. But I also believe that we're all gifted with something. Mine happens to be a person who's very inclusive, very, very natural. Sometimes people wish for a guru figure. I don't believe in that. I believe we are our own gurus, and a room of many gurus would be a wonderful world. You don't need one guru to guide and tell you. I don't know where my courage comes from, Madhvi. I just know that through my studies with the Brahma Kumaris, it has shed a lot of light and wisdom on my own responsibility to myself. I'm accountable for the decisions that I make, and I can no longer blame anyone for the way that I feel. And my feelings are my own, and I will come to you maybe to help me to process these feelings so I can feel free from sadness or fear or arrogance. I want to learn more about myself, you know.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I mean, I so resonate with that, because I know that for me, the whole emphasis and everything, that the way I thought, etc., totally transformed when I seriously took Raj Yoga meditation and really came into it, because I think the knowledge we offer here is amazing. You know, you did share about your mom, but
Yeah.
you are currently living in the center at Om Shanti Village, and you are taking care of your mom, who was
Yeah.
a great teacher of the Brahma Kumaris. Now, can you share how that has been? You've been very open and candid, about your process. So would you care to share?
I like being open and honest because I think that we've gotten this conditioning and this belief system that when we see spiritual personalities, or whether it comes from the days of Buddha, Abraham, or Jesus, we only see them in a perfected form, but we actually never weigh into the process before they got to that stage of perfection. And so I'm very open about my spiritual journey. And sometimes a lot of people don't like that, Madhvi. They like, they want me to act a role and be perfect for them. But I can't do that. It's been one of the biggest opportunities of my life is taking care of a soul that's played the role of my mother, teacher, business partner, best friend. And I've lost all of those relationships. Every one of them have collapsed. And it's just been difficult. It's been difficult in terms of I'm trying to find the interior bandwidth to manage her, even though we have the family, everyone here is taking care of her. But it's the little things like, she's drinking the hand sanitizer or eating my hair gel, eating the flowers, digging out the candle and drinking the candle wax. That sometimes if I'm working and I just happen to turn and I see her doing it, I go into shock. So for the past few months, my whole system has been like this. So I've just been observing it. When Michelangelo, I think, who carved that beautiful stone of David, that beautiful art piece of David. And I thought to myself, I wonder how Baba, God's light, is chiseling me, because I thought that there's an image in me that's getting carved for my future destination, my future lifetimes, my future cycle. And every time I find myself jerking because I see my mother drinking the hand sanitizer again, it's like he's chiseling me and the chisel goes in a different direction and I get like that. And so it's been a lot of changes because I'm aware that my nature is peace and purity and power. But it's like this energy is around me and it's trying to show me something. And I think what's happening with my mother with dementia now and dealing with an instrument of the Brahma Kumaris and taking care of our instruments that have served in the Brahma Kumaris for so long, that I think that it's teaching me to even go deeper beyond the flames, to really tap into my soul conscious potential, knowing that that is what's going to help her, but also help me. So I haven't reached there yet, but I really want to.
I think you've done amazingly. You are very much, well, nearly there. But, I just wonder what, uh, where somebody's dealing with an elderly parent who's got dementia, and you do not have any family support because they're not living in the centers. They might just have, could be just the husband and wife, husband goes to work. Any tips on how they can manage?
I think don't feel too bad on yourself if you get impatient or angry. Your impatience and anger is not that you don't love them. It's just that you wish you had more that you could offer to them, but you just don't. And I think it's important that you somehow not beat up on yourself already when you've given so much of your energy to another. The second thing that helps me is to keep writing down my feelings, to journal it, just so I can get it out of my system, The third thing, and one of the things that I don't know if they have it in different countries, but to be able to get an aid, even to assist you for 2, 3 hours or 4 hours a day, where you can just have your me time. It really is important. Even now, I'm still even trying to find that for myself at the level that it's beneficial for me. And you can say that it is a bondage. You can say that it is a karmic account that you're settling. I say this. It is my opportunity to learn more about my capacity, my bandwidth, and to deepen my relationship with God, with Baba, so that I can understand what it means to be here. Throughout my years on this journey, I've realized our purpose is really to bring the divinity of God's energy in our personality, that it just can't be hidden. It just can't be. So hang in there. It is tough. It is rough. But see if you can get just some help just for a few hours a day. It can make a world of difference for you.
Absolutely. Well said that. So I've got a question from one of our participants, Daksha. She's saying, I am struggling with a lot of things at the moment. I'm lost, trying to find my way back to spirituality. I'm lost between two worlds. I'm stuck on my own, and I do not give up. But sometimes one has a situation that one has to go through. Please advise, how does one get out of a vicious circle? So the genie needs to be out of the bottle, but stable. Any tips?
I think, Dakshaben, that you're listening to this program, you're getting unstuck already. I'm telling you. And getting stuck and getting into situations where it just feels like a lot is piling on you, it didn't happen overnight. And getting unstuck might not happen overnight. But it will happen with these incremental moments that you're going through, where you keep reminding yourself of what it's like to be unstuck. You've got to see what life would be like without this situation, without that circumstance. And you have to keep feeding into that vision that you see. There's no doubt that if I keep thinking it's wrong, it's bad, I'll be on the ground floor. And when I'm on the ground floor, that's just what I see. But if you go up to the top and you look down below what's going on in your life, you will get a different perspective on it. And just, even if it's for a little bit, don't give up on that little bit that comes through the portal of your consciousness. So that's my advice. But also play your favorite music. Don't put on Adele. Play your favorite music, dance a little bit, find people or friends that are just really inspiring for you. I've got a really good group of friends, and they're not all Brahma Kumars or Kumaris. I have friends all over from all different genres. And I'll tell you this, when I've been through my dark night of the soul, where I just couldn't get out of where I was, I would call on them. And I'd say, have you been here? And they'd say, oh, yeah. You know, where you don't feel like you belong in the past anymore, but the present isn't showing you where to go, and the future isn't clear for you. It's called being stuck, but it's also called the dark night of the soul. And it might be your time, Dr. Shaban, to just pause, take some real deep quality time for yourself. Maybe you haven't been doing that. And maybe it's your time to do so.
Yeah.
Okay?
You know,
lots of good wishes.
Yeah, you're so right there, Jenna, because we feel guilty. Many have shared with me, they feel guilty about taking time out for themselves. But it is so important. And like you know, I do fall back on my non-Brahmin family and non-Brahmin friends. And yes, it's wonderful to have someone you can chat to and discuss things with. And that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. A very practical question here for you from Marina. She's saying, how have you found the time to achieve so much, both academically and through creative collaborations? I worry about having limited time or running out of time, and I feel I'm always behind with things.
I feel like I'm behind on things now, but prior to maybe the last 6 months, I owe it to a life of discipline. I'm very consistent in my morning routine and my day-to-day routine. So that's really, really important, because then your thoughts aren't everywhere when you're disciplined. When you're disciplined, basically everything will line up for you, and things will start coming to you as a result of the touchings that you're getting, especially in your early morning meditation. Once you focus on something with a lot of pure intent, the universe and the drama will bring people in situation just in front of you. You don't have to keep struggling. But I think that if I lack that discipline, then I don't know what to reach for. Is it this that I should do? Is it that I should do? And the only reason why I say the last 6 months has been challenged is because we relocated to a new property. And I'm also having Sister Gita, who's my mother, who shares the bedroom with me. And that makes me very sleep deprived. And so there's a lot of different factors that I'm juggling at the same time, along with, recordings, interviews, and so on. But I'll tell you where I think really the root of my ability to do as much as we do as a team here. We don't gossip. We don't dislike people. And we really don't get in people's business. My whole focus is find your passion, your strengths, and move on. I've bumped into people who have come into our unit, and unfortunately, they have a limited belief system. Maybe they're manipulative, or maybe they're a little judgmental, or maybe they're not very honest. And we can see it and we can feel it. And I've seen how when that vibration comes in, even the whole team gets affected. So it has to do with where you're anchored in your thinking and in your vibrations, that I think gives you that permission that you can either flow or you can, struggle your way through. So check where you spend most time with your thoughts. And if it's rooted in the purpose of benevolence, that you really want to bring benefit to the people in your life and the world around you, then I think the universe will show up to support you. I feel that I know I'm not the one that's doing this. I know that God's light, Baba's light, has been working through me. And I feel really grateful for that. And I feel very humbled about that. But I know there's still so much more. And so I'm working day and night on observing if I'm feeding any percentage of algae still. And I do. And I am. And I know it. But I keep just going into the fire, man. Because I know beyond that is my treasure, is my worth, is my value. So just keep pushing through, because we're at a particular pinnacle moment where life has got so much to offer you right now. Don't even ask.
Um, Interesting you mentioned about life. So what advice would you offer our group here as to what they need to pay deep attention to in these times?
Wow. I think what we all need to do is something I took from one of our 13-year-old mentors. Get addicted to taking light from the sun and not the candle.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I think we need to start to be so aware that the drama, the universe, life is so bright for me, and I can take as much as I want, and don't get so addicted to just a little candle flame, thinking that's all you're worth. I think that's what we need to do.
People are really appreciating everything you've shared. And Indu is sharing that, the bit you made, the point you made about karmic debts, etc. She said she used to be very impatient, but the way she handles her husband now is really, she thinks that, okay, I'm settling my accounts. And so, she's become sort of very centered and very patient with him, because it's quite hard for us when the people we're looking after are doing sort of really weird things in our eyes, to see it from their perspective. And I thought that was beautiful. And
I have to say, let me hop in here. Like, even like with my mom with her dementia, she's so happy. I'm the one who isn't. I'm the one that gets disturbed. I'm the one that's getting like shocked that she's drinking the candle wax now. I was like, oh, you can't. And then, the nudging over. And every time I do that, my whole system changes. And I know it's impacted me tremendously. But I have to tell you, one of the things that really helped me, I don't feel I'm settling an account with my mom. I used to think that. I used to. I just feel that I'm just gaining an opportunity to be a better person. Like, I'm actually getting a chance to be better. And by being with her in the situation, I'm beginning to see all the things in me that are still there. They're not deleted. And as a result of seeing them, that they're not deleted, then it makes me do more work. And so what I believe is that it's not even I'm not settling anymore. I am creating my fortune for the future. And I think that's really important for me to, because I've been through that settling of karma, and sometimes it's like I just settle and whatever, but I felt like I've accepted it, but now I'm ready to create my fortune for the future.
It's lovely, because
and this soul is helping me.
So I was just going to thinking, when you were saying that it's so true. Instead of sort of focusing on the settlement, the way you've done it is you're focusing on my growth. You're taking everything in a very positive way, because ultimately we know that every challenge that comes our way is a teacher.
Oh, and let me tell you, Madhvi and everyone, I think I've been emotionally maybe the worst I've felt in decades. And yet, at the same token, I know that my best is also emerging. So even though, I will just tear up talking about her because it's just so weird, everything that I'm witnessing and going through. But that's okay. That's also a part of the beauty of life and why we're here. And I feel like we get too heavy on dealing with our issues. Of course, we have issues. And sometimes we just get so heavy and so much into why it's not the way we want it. And we haven't even visualized how we actually want it. We're just so stuck in why we don't want what we have. And so it's time for us to direct our energy. I tell you, if it wasn't for my connection to Source, to God, to Baba, I'm not quite sure how I would cope with everything that's around me. But I tell you this, folks, deepen your connection and bond to the source of light. If you don't have your connection to God yet, please awaken it now. I'm so clear you can't squeeze God into a religion because he's also too big for one particular religion. So find your spiritual, intimate connection to Source in a language that suits the culture and the body type that you happen to be in. If you need that, I don't need that. I don't need to follow a path that connects to my culture, religion, or language. I need to just follow a path that gives me answers and experiences. And then I'm free. I don't have to identify myself in a tribe, because sometimes in a tribe, they can also support your weaknesses.
Absolutely.
You can appreciate your tribe as a means of your growth, but you're still an individual with your own destiny already carved in you. And when you turn to God's light, you will see it clearer than anyone else can tell you who they think you are.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Sri Vidya is saying that, she also cared for her mother who had dementia. And she really then began to look at her as her child. And so sort of that helped her through. So that's beautiful. Right. Let me just quickly scroll down this to say, oh, Jenna is so beautiful when she is smiling. It's the sun, says Sri Vidya. And Nalini is sharing that she said, really, it's all about the morning lesson that she heard today. It's all about sort of remembrance. And just like you were sharing, your connection with a higher source, the supreme or Baba, whatever you want to call. And the third thing I love what you shared was about journaling, because I know I've been sharing about that, because I think that is the one thing that's held me centered and really helped me to see things. And I'm not suggesting it's always, when I started, it was all over the place. And also one other thing is, do not beat yourself up, whatever happens, because this is one thing I think most of us sort of go through and do, and we feel so depleted. We feel, so excellent. Right. And yes, so Giuseppina is saying about algae. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, algae is a big one. I always blame all the world's problems is because of algae. It's not because of this person, that person, or that. It's because of the belief system that anger, lust, greed, attachment, and ego will get you what you want.
Oh,
limited, maybe in a little way. But again, you just want to keep taking from the candle or from the sun. Which one? It's entirely up to you, right? I used to run 2 very successful nightclubs back in the day, guys. In my early 20s, it was the top nightclub of South Beach, Miami. And when I used to choose which car I would drive up that night when we would open the clubs, if it was going to be my Jaguar or my BMW, or I was going to drive up in the Mercedes, or what name brand dress was I going to wear? Was it my Armani? Was it my Donna Karan? Was it my Anne Klein? With my hair flowing and my jewelry and my Cartier watches and everything, my diamonds. When I walked into my club, I was the queen of the place. And I thought that was so big
Mm.
until I came into my awakening, and I was like taking from a candle. And here was God the Son offering me the world on the palm of my hands. I mean, how silly was I? You know, and yet that was a wonderful time for me, but it's no longer there for me now. I don't need to take from the candle.
In fact, your needs have changed. It's so lovely. Thank you for sharing that. It reminded me of my past life, and I was a so-called superstar. I used to be a singer, and I used to do loads of things. And exactly like what you were sharing, I felt
Yeah.
I had them all eating out of my hands, and that everything. I mean, no way. And exactly like you said, it's only when you awaken that you
I tell
realize
you,
you've been
yes,
feeding off rubbish,
yes,
and even at the moment, all of you, this wonderful group of people often say, but how come you're so happy all the time? But I really am. It's not a pretend, because I am so full. And that
mm-hmm,
doesn't mean that I'm blind to what's happening to me. And no. I'm very aware, and loads of things are work in progress. But
mm-hmm.
that connection really gives you the power. I really recommend, if any of you would like to learn about Raj Yoga meditation, I have put my mobile number up there, as well as the WandS email. You need to contact us, and we will put you in touch with the right people. So let me say, oh, lovely sharing from Jenny. She's saying, Jenna, I had a big depression 10 years ago. And really, it was the best thing to happen to me. It brought me to sorry, I don't know that word bus. I don't think you mean that, but I don't know what it says, what you're trying to communicate. I think that's a typo. But basically, she's saying it taught her so much.
Oh,
And
yeah,
Daksha is sharing. She says, everything that comes on our path comes to teach us something. Thank you. This is the one thing we need to remember. Absolutely. Uh,
yeah. You
yeah.
know, so many things are going to offer us insights into our lives. And one of the gifts that I've received, being an instrument in the Brahma Kumari's spiritual movement, is that after I've heard and listened to a million stories, I realize the only problem we have is to be attached to them.
Absolutely.
And if we can only break not only the attachment to our stories, but the interpretation I have to the story, the attachment of the interpretation of the story. And so, what I've loved about the teachings in the Brahma Kumaris is that's very simple. And every day you're offered an idea to transform that attachment and raise the vibration of how you're going to see yourself. And more than anything else, I'll teach and share with all of you the importance of how to practice soul consciousness. If you want to know what it means to meditate or to experience a soul conscious experience, if anybody comes in your mind, or if you think of anyone, or if you see anyone, wish them to be benefited. Just bless them. And you'll automatically feel at least a glimpse of soul conscious awareness and what it would be like to be in this elevated, positive state of mind. Wish the person that's given you the greatest sorrow to be benefited from your heart, and see how it releases you from being trapped in their vortex, in their world in which they did or said something that took away your power because you believed in them. Bless them and wish them well and set them free.
Beautiful. I love that. Absolutely agreed. So Joan is asking, she's saying about journaling. She said, Baba, that she calls Baba, said, to write OK, that's O for Baba, that's a point, and K for the kingdom. Don't worry about it, all the newcomers, because this is just sort of what I call BK talk, But basically her comment is, is it acceptable to say that my day has gone well? To write
When I'm having these days, I would write to Baba, which is journaling to God. And again, another wonderful experiment is to write a letter to God and feel like how he would write you back in response to your letter. But if I start my letter and I say to Baba like this, Dear Baba, I know at the core of my being I'm okay. But at this moment, I'm challenged with this belief. This is how I'm feeling. Guide me. And that means you're having a relationship not only with yourself, but with Source, but with also the drama of time. And each of them, all of them at some point, if they can listen to your sincere longing and your sincere feelings, they have to show up to support you and help you. It's when you're not clear with your motives and your intentions for yourself, they don't know how to meet you because they don't know what you want.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. So Manoj is asking, Sister Jenna, please could you explain an attitude of unlimited disinterest?
Why would you ask me that question after all the things that we've
Everything
said?
you talked about, this
Manoj, I've
question
given
you,
answer for everything on that one.
you are superwoman. You are Baba's very special child. And so I know you can answer.
When I hear unlimited disinterest, Manoj Bhai,
Mhm.
I just go to being the soul is in a state of consciousness where it really is enjoying its relationship, companionship with God, Baba, but with also what the soul feels Baba and the drama is creating in the being. And also just with that moment in time, like what does this time need of me right now? And whenever I hear about unlimited disinterest, I really go back to a soul having none of that emotion or feeling coming from algae.
Hmm.
And when I'm in that unlimited disinterested state, it's like my soul is in such an awakened soul awareness condition
Hmm.
that I just have recognized everything that is true to me, that I have the angel quality in me, I have the deity quality in me, and nothing small of that can force me back into that bottle. So, unlimited disinterest, Manoj Bhai, look at your partner, your children, your family, not as your family or your people. Unlimited disinterest is look at them from their gifts and their virtues that they bring into your family and into your life. And every time you focus on the good and the virtuous and the positive, you are in an unlimited state.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So we've got a couple of requests for more expansion on algae, as I like to call it. But maybe if it's okay with you, Jenna, you can send me a document on that, because I know you've done programs on that, etc. But something. And by the way, I will be sharing with all of you all the resources that Sister Jenna is going to send me. Okay. So along with this recording of this event, you will be sent out everything. Okay. Right. Looking at the time now, I'm going to end with the last question. In a nutshell, Sister Jenna, what do you think is the end result of meditation, spirituality, etc., etc.?
The divinity of God's light and love cannot be hidden from you or from anyone else. There'll be I look forward to reaching that goal, that destination, where your personality is so tied into principles, values, virtues, kindness, love, and generosity. The end result of any spiritual practice or meditation, not only should you start to feel nurtured by that, by those qualities, Your family and your friends should too. So I think that is the end result and the proof of our spiritual practice. And why it takes us a little bit of a time is that it's supposed to. It's supposed to take some time so we can savor each moment of the transformation and the development that's taking place.
That was so beautiful. Yes. Okay. So just to let everyone know, we've got another very powerful topic, which I think really follows on beautifully from what you've shared today, to realize the real you. So we have with us next week on the 7th of December, Tuesday, as always, Sister Denise Lawrence. She's going to be with us all the way from Vancouver. So again, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 2:30 her time, when it's time, that she joins us. So it's been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Sister Jenna. I would like to take this opportunity to thank everybody who has taken very precious time out to be with us all physically and physically on the net. And also, I'd like to say a big thank you to our brother Anna, who does the recordings and sends it to us. Anna Bai, I know you don't have your camera, tut, 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 but we'd love to hear your voice. And then Brother Manuel. Manuel, are you there, dear? So that's him. Thank you again so much. Sister Jenna, I'm just wondering, would you like to end with a last sort of meditation?
Yeah, so of course I'd love to. And thank you everyone for the time that you've taken out to be with me and Madhvi, and each of you too. Please stay connected. Right now, the world really needs to create a vortex of very intentional people, that you're showing up for your transformation, knowing that it's going to bring benefit to our greater humanity. And as you can see, the world is really in need of individuals that can carry that light and that divinity down here. Don't wait until you die to find it up here. Let's bring it down here and develop a very intimate relationship between you and God, the Supreme Soul. I can't begin to find the words to tell you how beneficial that'll be for you.
Well, I can just see from your light, Jenna, I mean, I'm not being funny, but really, this is what happens. And honestly, I think Sister Jenna, myself, many of us will share from the personal experience, your life totally changes, absolutely. It just, it transforms. But anyway, it's, we leave that to you to find out. Connect with us and we will try and put you through to how you can do the Raj Yoga meditation course and everything else that we offer. Brahma Kumaris share a lot of things. And as I said, it's always free of charge. So over to you, Sister Jenna.
All right, thank you.
Lovely, lovely meditation.
So I'm going to play one of our videos from my album that I did with Ricky Cage, the Om Shanti album. And I think this is the one on your vision is pulling you, which means once you're letting go of your limited beliefs, your vision has your name on it. Nothing or no one can take away anything from you. Everything is already carved in what is rightfully yours. The only thing that slows you down is that you might be in other people's business or you think somebody's getting in your way. No, it's you. So let's take some time and pause for a little bit. And thank you all so much for taking the time to join me in Madhvi, and also the crew that took their time and energy to listen in and participate in all the IT work. Keep moving no matter what. There's a flow. This thing called life. It moves us ever onward, upward, forward. Like rivers of water, it keeps moving, no matter what. Over and under and round it flows. Let the currents take you on the journey of life. Simply keep going with the flow. Keep moving, no matter what.
Was really beautiful, Jenna. And last but not least, everyone, we look forward to welcoming Sister Jenna again with us in a couple of months. Everyone, take care of yourselves, and we'll look forward to welcoming you again on Tuesday morning. Remember, we've got Sister Denise Lawrence, and her topic is to realize the real you. Sister Jenna, please would you convey our love to everybody there? And
I will.
carry our love with you. Many, many thanks. And great. It's been great being with you. Everyone, take care. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.